Hey guys, how are you? Welcome back to my channel, The Following Pages. Today's book is Bedeviled, Jinn Doppelgangers in Islam and Akbarian Sufism by Dunja Rašić. And this book offers a groundbreaking exploration into the enigmatic realm of the Jinn Doppelgangers, which are known as the qarīn in Arabic. And these entities deeply are embedded in the Islamic tradition, philosophy and folklore, and also in the Sufi literature, and are examined with a particular focus on the teachings of the 12th century Sufi mystic Ibn Arabi. So this book talks a lot about the research on the entity qarīn, the jinn, by Ibn Arabi. And in the Islamic belief, a qarīn, the jinn, is considered a jinn companion of every human being, and they are assigned to every individual that exists, often depicted as a malevolent counterpart of the human being residing within one's heart and the bloodstream. Okay, and the writer delves into various Islamic texts and traditions to trace the origins of this entity, the qarīn, and the interpretations of these shadowy figures, the jinns, basically the doppelgangers, shedding light on their roles and significance across different cultural contexts. Central to the book is the analysis of Ibn Arabi's extensive writings on the jinn, the qarīn, and he provides detailed accounts of their character, their behaviors, and societal activities, and how they live, how they die, and basically everything that he could found on the entity. He wrote about that in this book. And Ibn Arabi says that God assigns each person an evil qarīn, an evil jinn, a doppelganger, as a means to grapple with the existence of evil within a divinely ordained universe. This perspective offers a unique lens through which to understand the interplay between free will, predestination, and moral responsibility in Islamic thought. And the writer's work also addresses the broader implications of Jinn Doppelgangers in the context of spiritual ascension and the human quest for divine connection. By confronting and understanding one's qarīn, the jinn, the doppelganger, individuals may embark on a path of self-purification and spiritual enlightenment, transforming potential malevolence into a force of personal growth. Yeah, so let me just show you how it starts, the book. It basically starts with a quote. I think it's from the Bible. It's, "Everything exists in pairs, one set against the other, and he made nothing that is incomplete." Sirach 42:24. And I found something similar in the Quran also, in the Surah 51, ayah 49. "And we created pairs of all things, so perhaps you would be mindful." And there's other instances where the concept of pairs is mentioned in the Quran also. Yeah, let me just show you the contents of the book. Yeah, it talks about neither of the east nor the west, signs of the horizon, the devil within, the red death. And there are also a lot of illustrations. See this? So it starts with the transcription, the name in English, the words in English, Arabic, and how to convert them into English letters. Yeah, the first chapter. So it says, there's a quote by Ibn Arabi. "Then he said to me, light is a veil and darkness is a veil. You will be aware of what is the most beneficial at the line between them. Follow the line closely, and if you arrive at the point in which it originates, make it disappear in the sunset prayer." Yeah, there are a lot of, the whole book mentions Ibn Arabi's research and all that. So it says that Akbarians were well aware that God's face sometimes takes a hideous form. However, they also maintained that ugly things can lead to beautiful outcomes. Yeah, so it mentions a lot of books a lot of references where the qarīn was mentioned, and in a lot of quotes that I have marked here, I would like to share these things with you. I was a hidden treasure, and I loved to be known, hence I created the world to make myself known. So this is basically a hadith which is mentioned here, that God is talking to his creation. It also says that humans tend to lose the ability to wonder as they grow older and accumulate knowledge and experience. Yeah, there's a lot of knowledge and research in this book if you were to read it. Let me show you. There are also symbols. There are also references and pictures from the books that mention the jinns, the qarīn. And see this. It's a well-researched book. And there are also symbols here. Let me just take a look. See this? The planetary sphere, the king jinns, the angels, the prophets. It's a really well-researched book. He appeared strange to me, a man made of brass. He told me to recite some poetry, and recited some poetry himself. I said, "Who are you?" He said, "I am your qarīn from among the jinn." This is how I began reciting poetry. Yeah, so this book also makes the claim that a lot of the concept, a lot of the research comes from the poetry books. Because back then, in the old days, there weren't many researches done on this entity, the qarīn, the doppelganger, or even the jinns. They were used as a concept in poetry to represent, like their feelings and all of that stuff. Maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong, who knows. The devil within. So it says, "You yourself are the cloud veiling your own sun. So recognize the essential reality of your being." Ibn ʿArabī. Different cool paintings, but it's black and white. I wished it was colored. Which mentions the jinns, the qarīn. "I ascended, I threw myself into the sea of perplexity, and he left me swimming in it. Make me the master of the forelock of every obstinate tyrant and rebellious devil, whose forelocks are in your hand." Ibn ʿArabī. It also has these symbols. There are basically the black magic square, drawing from the author based on the black man. So there are a lot of references also mentioned. If you were to check the other books that are mentioned here, you could also do that. See this, there are also sigils, magic squares, how are to be protected from the qarīn, the jinn. And there are also tribal rituals mentioned in the book. Yeah. So it's not like a really lengthy book. It's a really, like a short book, but it has like a lot of research done on it, and it talks about the Shia theology when it comes to the jinns and all of that. The symbols, they look like circuits, if I'm not wrong. Maybe it's just me. So there's this: God asked Iblis, the devil. So let me just start from the beginning. It said that we ordered angels to prostrate before Adam. They all prostrated except for Iblis, the devil, who was not among them. God asked Iblis, "What prevented you from prostrating when I commanded you to do so?" Iblis said, "I'm better than him. You created me from fire, and he was created from clay." So basically it was pride. Pride was the first sin. Yeah. And there's also, it's mentioned here somewhere, I was reading that the Jinn, the Doppelgangers, yeah, it's a hadith, and it's Sahih Muslim 1188. It says that the devil runs in the bloodstream of Adam's descendants. So it's basically, the concept, what I've understood is that you can never stop sinning, okay? But you can repent. That is why the door to repent is always open in the Islamic theology. That you will always commit a sin, okay? No matter how big, no matter how small, you will always do that. But you can always repent. If you guys read about it, do let me know. And yeah, now let's just go to the other section of my video where I share a certain quote with you guys, and let's talk about that. So the quote is from Matrix, the second part, I believe. It's that you didn't come here to make the choice, you've already made it. And this quote is basically, it reflects deeply deterministic perspective of a human choice, and it suggests that decisions are not made at the moment of deliberation, but are instead inevitable outcomes of a person's character, his experiences, and subconscious will. The moment of recognition is merely an unveiling of what was already set in motion. So I would like to give like a example or a reference from three sources. One is from Dostoevsky, and Dostoevsky's notes from the underground presents a tormented protagonist who resists this determinism, yet paradoxically proves it. The underground man claims his free will, but his self-destructive choices stem from deeply ingrained psychological compulsions, illustrating that he was always bound to act as he did. And on the other end, if you guys have read Dante's Inferno, it echoes this in the concept of divine justice, where sinners are placed in hell not because they made choices in a vacuum, but because their choices were the natural expressions of their inner selves. Farinata, for example, remains defiant even in damnation. His fate was always sealed by his very nature. And the last is from the Quran. It talks about predestination. It's Surah 57, Ayah 22. It says, "No disaster strikes upon the earth or among yourself, or in self, except that is in a register before we bring it into being. Indeed, that for Allah is easy." This suggests that choices unfold within divine knowledge, already known before they manifest themselves. I do believe to a certain degree we have choice, but it's not 100%. Situations are thrown at us, and we have only this amount of choice how to react to them morally. But I do believe that the situations, the circumstances that are given to us are basically not our choices. You know, they're most of them are thrown at us, and they're written. And let's just, for example, say 10 were written, and you have to decide between 10, but those 10 were written. You cannot choose an 11th, okay? And I will more talk about in other videos about predestination, but for today, this is it. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, or you would like to talk about these certain things that I discussed in this video, please do leave that in the comment below, and I would love to communicate with you guys and debate with you guys in a civilized manner, you know. And if you guys have any other books that you want me to talk about, please do let me know also. And I guess this is it. See you next time. Have a good day, guys.